From the moment you start off Cyberpunk 2077, you'll be making one of the most important decisions at the end of your character creation, their life path or their backstory of your main character. There are 3 life paths that you can pick from. There's Nomad, Street Kid, and then there's Corporate. And each one will start you in a different part of Cyberpunk 2077's map in the prologue of the game's story, but also narratively in the universe. Ultimately though, at the end of each of the prologues, you'll find yourself sitting rock bottom in Night City. Like I said though, the life paths don't just affect your starting location, it'll have an entire effect on the narrative of the story of the game. For example, starting with Street Kid, they say you want to understand the streets, you gotta live them. Gangs, fixers, dolls, small-time pushers, you're raised by them, all down here. The weak serve the strong, and only law in Vice City that you have yet to break. At the beginning of the game, you'll find yourself in a bar trying to fix your broken nose after you got into a bar fight, and you find yourself in a debt with the local fixer. And in order for V to settle his debt, V is tasked with stealing an expensive car owned by an Arasaka businessman. And things seem to be going great until Jackie appears on a mission to steal the same car. An argument ensues, and then the cops show up, arresting you and Jackie. And the two of you are both beaten to a pulp and dumped into a back alley. So playing as a Street Kid, you'll know more about the many gangs within Night City. After all, you were practically raised by them. And this is pretty useful considering you'll be interacting with many gangs within Cyberpunk 2077's story. You know when they're trying to rip you off, betray you, and what to do in certain situations. However, keep in mind you aren't the smartest or the most persuasive. After all, you were raised in the streets, and being street smart will only take you so far. Next, we have the Nomad. Roaming the Badlands, looting scrapyards, raiding fuel depots, life on the road wasn't easy, but growing up in a Nomad clan has its perks. Honesty, integrity, and a love of freedom, qualities that few in Night City possess, and no amount of money can buy. So basically these guys are like the mini mortar tribes or the biker games that you will find in the Mad Max universe. And this version of V will find himself in a garage at a mechanic shop, fixing a car, trying to get to Night City, where he meets up with his contact, Jackie, with the two trying to smuggle goods into Night City. Duro then encounters Arasaka border control that knows that they're smuggling corporate property, and an epic car chase ensues. The Nomad playthrough definitely gives an advantage when you go into the outskirts of the Badlands, opening up many dialogue opportunities that other playthroughs are closed off to, but also in the lower end areas of Night City, since you have an idea of what it's like living a life in that area. After all, you are both part of the lowest social and economic classes, so you can relate to them to some extent. Just not as well as a Street Kid, but you get the idea. And generally speaking, people will be more trustworthy of you. After all, in the universe of Cyberpunk 2077, honesty and integrity is a rare commodity. And finally, we have the corporate life path. Fewer people leave the corporate world with their lives, and fewer still with their souls intact. You've been there, you've bent the rules, and you've exploited secrets. In the corporate lifestyle, information is king, since it can be recognized, and there is no such thing as fair game, only winners and losers. This version of V that I'll refer to as Scumbag V starts off working at Arasaka Tower with his own office, and is basically a big shot in Night City. Eventually, Scumbag V is tasked by his boss to help them get a promotion by taking out his boss's boss. Scumbag V then hops into his flying limousine and flies over to Lizzie's bars, landing on top of the roof where basketball players are playing basketball, and he basically moves them aside easily, which is pretty dope. Scumbag V then commands the bouncer to watch over his limousine, and then Scumbag V meets with his friend Jackie, who you've known for a long time, and how he's going to take his boss's boss out. But things take a turn when your entire plan is uncovered, and you're fired from Arasaka, losing your insurance, expensive cybernetics, and the amount of privileges that you had being with corporate. Being a corporate background will give you an edge when you're dealing with corporations in the world, since you've been there, and you know how to think and how things work. But also with the other groups in Night City, like the gangs, but also the more legit groups, like Netwatch, and even the police, since you being in corporate, you most likely gathered up a lot of information on these groups, and you dealt with them on numerous occasions. However, out of all the 3 life paths, you'll probably be one of the most hated and the least relatable out of the 3 options. Finally, a few things that I'd like to say is, depending on your life path, it will have an impact on V's apartment and what it looks like, which is pretty cool. You'll be limited by who you can romance with in the game depending on which life path you choose, so, I mean, if you care about that stuff like that, Choose your life path carefully, but most importantly, how your background is will impact your relationship with Walker Man Johnny Silverhand, and how willing he is to trust you, which could have play a major impact on the story of Cyberpunk 2077. And I almost forgot that whichever life path you choose, it may have an impact on the gear you get in your playthrough or how easily you'll acquire that. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's basically the summaries of all the life paths within Cyberpunk 2077 and the effect that they're going to have on your playthrough. So if you guys like this video and it helped you guys out, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.